Welcome geometry students to class today on Wednesday the 11th. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're ready to review some math. Your exam will be next week, so please make sure you're ready for that. I do not have the day on that yet. I did tell you that I would have that ready for you today. I apologize for not doing that, but hopefully I'll look that schedule up and have that day for you tomorrow. But I know it's later toward the end of the week. I know we have next week let me fix my pen here real quick. I know we meet 2 times next week. So I know we at least meet 2 times next week before the exam. But anyways, exam next week. And if you want to do a test retake, a couple things that has to be done by Friday. And I have to know the day and the teacher that you're going to take the test with, what day, and I have to know at least 1 day in advance. Okay, so that's it for that. And you know what, I think you guys really appreciate the fact that I jump right into it and get things going and I don't waste your time. Okay, so let's get started right away. If you have your chapter 2 test, feel free to get that out. It might be easier for you to follow along. If you don't have your chapter 2 test, it's no big deal. You're fine. I know that I know that Haley won't have one. Of course, she wasn't here then, and probably a lot of you threw your test away, and that's fine. Okay, no big deal. All right, here we go. From the very first review day on Monday, we looked at the definition of a polygon. I told you to know the names of these polygons in relationship to how many sides: 3 sides, 4 sides, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides, so know those. You need to know the sum of the interior angles of a quadrilateral is 360. You need to know the leg angles of any trapezoid or supplementary. And what are the legs? They are the non-parallel sides. You need to know the base angles of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. And what are the bases? The bases of a trapezoid are the parallel sides. You need to know in a parallelogram, both sets of opposite angles are congruent, and you need to know that consecutive angles are supplementary. Number 7, know the 5 ways to prove that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Number 8, know the formula for the midsegment, which is 2ms equals b subscript 1 plus b subscript 2. Number 9, know the definitions of the 6 special quadrilaterals that we studied in this chapter. And what are the 6 special quadrilaterals? Well, I'm glad you asked. They are right here in front of you. And here they are. Parallelogram, trapezoid, isosceles, trapezoid, rectangle, square, and rhombus. And then know these different things about them will probably help you with some of the problems on the test. Let me get a drink of water here. And that was a 60 to 90 second review of what we looked at on Monday. All right, and let's continue on. Let's take a look at what we talked about yesterday. So here's a little slower review of what we looked at yesterday. Yesterday I expressed to you that I want you to be able to look at patterns of figures, shapes, or numbers and make a conjecture about what will come next in the list. That's something we looked at yesterday. Number 2, yesterday I said be able to look at a statement and give a counterexample that proves the statement wrong. Okay, so we talked about that yesterday on during your review video. Number 3, be familiar with what points are, what lines are, what angles are, what planes are, collinear points, coplanar points, intersection points of lines, intersection of planes, etc., etc. Know all of this information, okay? That'll be really, really important. Okay, moving on. We also said given segments, be able to add and subtract these segments. We also said given angles, be able to add angles and subtract angles. We did that yesterday during your review video. Number 6, I said be able to give one angle 3 different names. Okay, remember we talked about an angle that looks like this. A, B, C. You could call this angle ABC or angle CBA or just angle B, but be sure and know how to do that, okay? And now with all of that in mind, that was a quick 2-day review. I'm not asking to get the Teacher of the Year award, but you understand what I'm doing every day is I'm like, well, I'm trying to review everything we've covered. So on Monday's review, all that I did is I put the whole day up here. Boom, that was all for Monday. And then Tuesday, the day before, I broke it down into different slides like this. Now tomorrow when you walk in, I will give you one page of what we talked about on Monday, one page of what we talked about on Tuesday, and then I'll review Wednesday a little more in detail. So I'm trying to review every day to help you guys, okay? And I hope that's a help to you. All right, let's go ahead and get started with today's official review. Here we go. Okay. All right. On the exam, there is a chance I will put problems like this on the exam. And they read as follows. Find the length of the indicated segment. For number 15, solve for x. So let's first of all start with number 13, okay? I have segment AB. Do you see that? Segment AB. And notice I have a slash through AM. This is point M. And notice I have a slash through MB. What that means is this segment here is congruent to this segment here. Okay? So, if MB is 15, then AM is also 15. Now, let's see if we can't answer these questions. Question number 1, what is the length of AM? Well, I just wrote it right here. It's 15. Question number 2, what is the length of AB, the entire segment? Well, if this is 15 and this is 15, the entire segment is 30. Okay? All right, moving on, number 14. Now, be very careful. Notice the entire segment from A all the way to B is 3.6. Also notice this segment here has a slash, so it's congruent to this segment here. It also has a slash, okay? So what I can do is I can take 3.6, and with my calculator, I can divide that in half, and I get 1.8. So AM has to be 1.8. MB has to be 1.8. We know they have to be the same because there's a slash here and a slash here. And so AM is 1.8. MB is 1.8. And by the way, if you add those together, you should get 3.6, and you do. Okay? All right. So what we reviewed here was when we have a line going through the midpoint of a segment, it divides it in half so that we have two congruent segments. And then here, this is a midpoint right here. And so if M is the midpoint of AB, that means this segment here is congruent to this segment here. All right, now let's take a look at number 15. Notice I have a slash here and a slash here. So that means this segment here, x plus 6, is congruent to this segment here, which is 20. So I can very easily solve for x by setting these two equal. Mr. Earhart, how do you know you can set them equal? Because this segment here is congruent to this segment here. So x plus 6 equals 20. Bring your positive 6 over, make it a negative 6. It's now gone, and I'm left with x equals 14. So the answer to x is 14. Again, we're reviewing what it means to have the midpoint of a segment. And when you have two segments that are congruent, you can then figure the length of the entire segment if you know one of the smaller segments, or you can find one of the smaller segments if you know the entire length when these two little segments are congruent. So that's what we're reviewing here. Okay, let's continue on. Also on your exam, I could very well give you a problem like this, in which I ask you to find the coordinates of the midpoint between these two points here. Okay, so here's basically what I'm asking you to do, just so you get a picture of it. You do not have to graph this, just watch. You do not have to do this. I just want to show you what you're doing. Here's negative 4, 2. Here's 8, negative 4, right here. And I'm going to draw a average line, probably not very straight. There. I'm asking you to find the midpoint that falls right here. Okay? I'm asking you to find that midpoint. Now you don't need to graph it to do this. I'm just trying to give you a picture of what we're doing. All that you need in order to solve this problem is a formula. And here's the midpoint formula. You will want to know this for your exam, okay? Here's the midpoint formula. X plus X divided by 2, comma, Y plus Y divided by 2. Now, which X and which X comes first? Which Y and which Y comes first? Well, since you're adding, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all since you're adding. So here's your X, here's your Y, here's your X, here's your Y. Okay? So let's take our time and do this carefully. The midpoint's going to be X plus X. So that's going to be -4 plus 8. Because here's an X, -4, here's an X, 8, divided by 2. Comma, and then Y plus Y. Well, that's going to be 2 plus a -4, because here's one of my Y's, 2. Here's my other Y, -4, divided by 2. And then you can use a calculator if you need to or whatever, but if you simplify, -4 plus 8 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. -2 plus, or 2 plus -4 is -2. -2 divided by 2 is -1. There we go. Okay? So that is the midpoint that falls between these 2 points. Okay? That's all you need is the formula, and then you can solve that problem. Okay? And by the way, I wonder if that makes sense. Let's see if it makes sense real quick. I did not want to do that. Let's see if this makes sense. Watch this. I'm going to get that graph back up here really quick. And let's see if that point makes sense. What did I claim the answer was? 2, -1. There it is. Yep, look at that. Almost right on the money. Over 2, down -1. Okay, so the formula works, and you need to know it, and you need to be able to do a problem like that on the exam. All right, moving on. Find the measure of angle ABD. Segment BD is an angle bisector. Well, guys, look, what I'm testing you here is, do you know what an angle bisector is? Do you know what an angle bisector is? It cuts an angle in half. Okay? So, if I'm telling you BD, and I should have called it ray BD, not segment, to be honest with you. Ray BD is an angle bisector. That means this ray cuts this whole big angle right in half. Now think about that. Come on. If it cuts it in half, that means this angle here with one dot is congruent to this angle here with one dot. So if this is 84 degrees, then what does this angle right here have to be? 84 degrees. Now, I could have asked you to tell me the measure of angle ABC if I wanted to. Let's go ahead and do that too, okay? But what I did ask you for was the measure of angle ABD. So here's A. Let me get a different color pen here. Here's A, then I go to B, then I go to D. So I want to know the measure of that angle. Well, the answer is obviously 84. Now, what if I asked you to find the measure of ABC? Well, here's A, then I go to B, then I go to C. So if I want this whole big angle, it would be this angle plus this angle, which is 168 degrees. Okay? There we go. That's it. So what am I testing you on here, or what am I reviewing? I'm reviewing what an angle bisector is. It cuts an angle in half. All right? Okay, let's continue on. Find the value of X. Now, actually, I believe somewhere, and I'm looking here very carefully. Yes, I apologize. I will bet you somewhere I should have put BD. So go ahead and write this down if you're taking notes on this. Ray BD is an angle bisector, and I apologize for forgetting to put that in there. There we go. Ray BD is an angle bisector. So that means this ray right here is cutting this big angle right in half. So if it's cutting this big angle in half, that means this angle right here with one dot is congruent to this angle here with one dot. So with that in mind, I know that I can say 5x plus 19, which is this angle here, equals this angle here, 74. And now I'm ready to solve for x. So I have a positive 19. I'm going to bring it over. When I bring it over, it's gone. I'm going to put a negative 19. And this pen is messing up, so I apologize. Negative 19. That would leave me with 5x equals 55. And then divide both sides by 5. And when you divide both sides by 5, you get 11. So x equals 11. So again, I'm just reviewing what an angle bisector is. Again, and by the way, I do know how to spell bisector. It's kind of funny. I left off R. There we go, bisector. Okay, let's continue on. The measure of R is 12. Find the measure of a complement and find the measure of a supplement of angle R. Now let's think about this. Whenever two angles are complementary, it means that their sum is 90. And whenever two angles are supplementary, it means that the sum of the two angles is 180. So I have this measurement angle R, and it equals 12 degrees. So what angle do I need to put with R so that it's a complement? Well, 78 degrees, right? I mean, think about it. Isn't 78 plus 12 90? Students, that's all they're asking for. When I ask you to find the complement, I'm asking you to find the angle that adds up to 90 when you add it to the given angle. In this case, we're given this angle here. Angle R is 12. I just simply took 90 and I subtracted 12 and I got 78. Now over here, when I ask you to find the supplement, all that I'm asking you to do is find this angle here, so that when you add it to the given angle, 12 degrees, you get 180. Well, obviously it's going to be 168 degrees, because 168 plus 12 is 180. All that I did was take 180 and subtract out my given angle, which is 12 degrees, and you will get 168 degrees. So when I ask you to find a complement, that just means find the angle that goes with this angle so that when you add them together you get 90. And when I ask you to find the supplement, that simply means find the angle that adds up to 180 with your given angle. And that's all you have to do. Complement, sum is 90, supplement, sum is 180. So all that I'm reviewing here for your exam is what the complement and the supplement of an angle is. All right, let's continue on. Let me get a drink of water here. Angles J, K, M, and M, K, L are supplementary. Now I can tell you what happened. I think I had the letters drawn. We can laugh. It's kind of funny. And I think when I cut and pasted from the test, they probably just didn't show up, or I forgot to include them. But let's put it like this. J, K, M, and M, K, L. Okay, these two angles are supplementary. Find the value of y. Well, here's angle JKM right here. Here's angle MKL right here. And notice that it says angles JKM and MKL are supplementary angles. So that means if I take this angle here, 2y, and add to that angle 3y, if these two angles are truly supplementary. Now think back to the last page we just looked at. When two angles are supplementary, that means they add up to 180 degrees. So if I take this angle and add them together, I should get 180 degrees. 2y plus 3y would be 6. That's incorrect. Would be 5y. Equals 180, and then we're going to divide both sides by 5, and if we do that, we're going to get 36. Not 36 degrees, just 36. All that we're doing here, we're not solving for an angle, we're just solving for y. Okay, and let's see, did I do this right? 30, 60, yeah, that's right. And so y equals 36. So again, we're just reviewing what supplementary angles are, and we are reviewing that using algebra expressions and an algebra equation. All right, let's continue on to the next problem. For numbers 21 and 22, find the measure of the numbered angles. Now, here's what we're reviewing. We're reviewing quite a few things. The first thing we're reviewing here is whenever you have a straight line with a line coming off of it, these two angles are going to add up to 180 degrees. They are going to add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so I have 28 degrees here. I'm going to take 180, subtract out 28 degrees, and that would leave me with 152 degrees. So angle 1 here has to be 152 degrees, because when you add 152 plus 28, you're going to get 180. Anytime you have a straight line, folks, we'll put a dot right here in the middle. Anytime you have a straight line, the measurement of that straight line is 180 degrees. It's called a straight angle is what it's called, and a straight angle always equals 180 degrees. So if you draw a ray off of that, all that means is these two angles right here are going to add up to 180. Okay? Now, so that's the first thing they wanted to review with this problem, or what I wanted to review in this problem, is whenever you have a straight line, all of the angles on that straight line are going to add up to 180. Now, on this problem here, they want to first of all remind you that, are you ready? Vertical angles are congruent. Vertical angles are congruent. Now, vertical angles means when two lines intersect, these two angles here across from each other will be congruent, and these two angles here across from each other will be congruent. So really I should have had 3 answer blanks here, and probably not even answer blanks. On the exam, I'll make sure and be a little more specific. I should have had the measure of angle 1 equals, the measure of angle 2 equals, and the measure of angle 3 equals. There we go. Okay, well, I'm going to find angle 2 first, because I just pointed out to you that vertical angles are congruent. And so if vertical angles are congruent, then that means if this angle right here is 85 degrees, then that means angle 2 is also 85 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and put 85 degrees right here for number 2. Now, I would like to point out to you, next we're going to find, we'll go ahead and cross this off and put 85 degrees. We're now going to find angle 1 or 3. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to find angle 3. Now, can I show you something very quickly? Please watch this. If I were to simply cover up this part of the problem right here, just watch, and all I had was this right here, do you not see what I have? I have a straight line right here with a line coming off of it. Now look over here. Isn't that what I had right here? A straight line with a ray coming off of it. So I knew these two angles had to add up to 180. So I know that this angle here, 85 degrees, and this angle here have to add up to 180. Now, having said that, having done that, now I'm going to put the original picture back up there again. I mean, now I can simply say, okay, if this is 85, then this right here has to be 95. How'd I know that? Because 85 plus 95 is 180. I simply took 180 in my head and I subtracted out 85 degrees, and I got 95 degrees. So angle 3 is 95 degrees. Now hold it. At the very beginning of the problem, we talked about vertical angles are congruent. That means that the angles that are across from each other. So if this is 95 degrees, then that means angle 1 also has to be 95 degrees. So this answer here would be 95 degrees. So what are we reviewing? Well, let me grab a quick drink of water here. We're reviewing number one, that a straight line is called a straight angle, and it always has a measurement of 180 degrees. Thus, all of the angles on this line are going to add up to 180. In this case, it was two angles, this angle here and this angle here. They have to add up to 180. Over here, we were reviewing that vertical angles, sorry for yawning, vertical angles are congruent, and so when two lines intersect, the angles across from each other like this are going to be congruent. They're going to be equal. They're going to be the same. Okay? All right, let's continue on. Rewrite in the space provided below the following statement as a conditional. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Now I'm asking you to rewrite this as a conditional. Now, what a conditional is, and Haley, I know you weren't here for this, a conditional means you have an if and then a then. In other words, it's a condition. If I said to you, hey, if you'll do your review sheet, then I will give you 5 bonus points. That's a conditional. If something, then something. Well, how can I rewrite this with an if and a then? Well, I think I know how to do that. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. So I'm going to put if a person eats an apple a day, there's my if part, then he or she, it doesn't matter, will not have to see the doctor. Now that's pretty long-winded. You could make it shorter, I'm sure. There's more than one way to do this, but you know what you could not say? You could not get the if and the then part. I forgot to end, didn't I? Then. You cannot get the if and the then part turned around. In other words, you could not say, if a person does not see a doctor, then he will eat an apple a day. That's not true. There are other ways to be healthy, okay? So don't get those turned around, but it says an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So if a person eats an apple a day, then he will not have to see the doctor. Okay, so there you go. That's called taking an expression and writing it as a conditional. So what are we reviewing here? We're reviewing what a conditional statement is. It's an if then statement, and then we're practicing taking a regular statement and writing it as an if then statement. All right, let's continue on. Use the law of detachment to reach a conclusion from the given true statements. Now this really, please don't make this harder than it is. This is pretty simple. If I said to you, if you do the review sheet, then I will give you 5 bonus points. Okay? If you do the review sheet, then I'll give you 5 bonus points. And then I said this, Martin did the review sheet. What conclusion could you draw from that? Martin's going to get 5 bonus points on his test. Okay, let's try another one. If I said to you, if you're late to class, then I'm going to give you a tardy. And then I said, John is late to class. What conclusion can you draw? John is going to get a tardy. Okay, and so that's all the law of detachment is. So look at this. If E is between D and F, then DF equals DE plus EF. Then look what it says. E is between D and F. Now it says right here, if E is between D and F, then this. And then it says E is between D and F. So what conclusion can I draw? I can draw the conclusion then that DF equals DE plus EF. Let's go over that one more time. If you have this, maybe you want to fast forward the video. It's up to you. Look, if, my pen's not working again, hold on. If E is between D and F, then this will happen. And then look what it says. E is between D and F, so then what's my conclusion? This is going to happen right here. So DF equals DE plus EF. That's called the law of detachment. Okay, So here what we're reviewing is the law of detachment and how to apply it to a situation. Okay, let's continue on. Now the law of syllogism, they want us to use this law to write the if-then statement that follows from the pair of true statements. Okay? If it is hot today, May will go to the beach. If May goes to the beach today, I will also go. All right? Now, listen to this carefully. Notice they want us to write not a conclusion like it said last problem here. Reach a conclusion or write a conclusion. They don't want us to do that. They want us to write an if-then statement. So let's kind of use common sense here. If it is hot, May will go to the beach. If May goes to the beach, I will go also. So if it's hot, what's going to happen? May will go to the beach. And if May goes to the beach, what's going to happen? I'm going to go also. So I could say this. This makes total sense. If it is hot, then I will go to the beach. Now, if you're a little confused, let me help you after I'm done writing this. Not sure why this pen is freezing up. Okay, now watch carefully. Look, if it is hot, what will happen? May will go to the beach. And what will happen if May goes to the beach? I will go also. It's kind of like a domino effect. This happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens. So, if it is hot, May is going to go to the beach. I know that for sure. And if May goes to the beach, I know I'm going to go. So, if it is hot, then I will go to the beach. How do I know that? Because if it's hot, May is going to go. And if May goes, I'm going to go to the beach. So, if it is hot, then why do I keep leaving my N off here? I do know how to spell. Then I will go to the beach. Okay? So there it is. That's called the law of syllogism. Know how to use that on the final exam, the semester exam, and that's what we're reviewing here, how to use it, how to apply it, how to look at two conditional statements or two if-then statements, and then come up with your own. Okay? All right, moving on to the next problem. That's it. So I know there's just tears flowing because you're so disappointed it's over. You might be getting some free time toward the end of the hour. If that happens, I hope I can trust you guys to not disturb class. I hope that you'll find something to do. Maybe go back and review the other two videos or work on another class. Again, I told you, if you're behind in other classes or if you have a lot of tests or quizzes this week, then be thankful that in this class you have no homework, no tests, and no quizzes. You guys have worked very hard, and we're doing great on where we should be. And so be thankful for that, and we can kind of kick back and relax and just review for the semester exam. Okay? Call me or email me if you have any questions at all. Hope you have a good day, and I will talk with you guys tomorrow.